I don't think I realized how widespread the problem is, and that it doesn't only affect students, but that it affects staff and faculty, actually a lot of adjunct faculty. So I think that's been the most surprising thing. It's a much larger problem, but it's across campus.
So I think awareness is really important because a lot of people don't necessarily want to acknowledge that they have faced or are currently facing issues of food insecurity. So I think that is the first piece of it, is to really bring it to the attention of the college as something that is worthy of academic study, but it's also a very real problem.
And the other one is the more practical, the actual feeding of students, right? So that would require a bigger space to be able to grow more, having some dedicated staff, particularly a full-time farm manager.
We're growing all organic produce for students who need it. So everything here has been started from organic seed, is being cared for in a way that's sustainable. We're using no chemicals whatsoever.
Our garden boss, Anna, is really the biggest help we have. She's a plant expert, so she helps us, like, you plant this here and you pair it with this crop. So we do a lot of what she directs us to do. But once we have it established and you can see that we've got a lot of good growth going, our main goal is to find out how we can distribute that to the student body that would be most effective for them to consume, especially nutrition value.
But I also like the service aspect of it. It's difficult to pay for college and also get good, nutritious food, and I think it's important to provide that.
It's important to the college because it does provide a bountiful harvest for students who might not be able to afford it anywhere else, or who aren't able to afford fresh produce at a supermarket. There should be no stigma about gaining access to food. There should not be a stigma about it.
DuPage County is known as a very affluent county. However, there's quite a few people that are hungry every single day of the year. In fact, 65,000 people in DuPage County are hungry, and 20,000 of those are kids. Almost every single client that we work with that comes to the pantry wants fresh produce, and with COD providing fresh produce, that's a great win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think we do need to address food insecurity, first of all, by recognizing the prevalence of it. I think that's something that many of us don't realize until we have that chance to interface and interact with students. We've noticed it, that people talk about it in the essays that we get in our classrooms when we ask them to reflect on this issue.
The way that I see a lot of students suffering from either food insecurity or just the lack of nutritious food. They come to class tired, they're foggy. You know, I think often that it's a sleep issue, but I've come to understand that I'm not sure it's always sleep. I think it's just that they're not getting nutritious food, so they're not coming with the fuel that they need, sufficient fuel, to be able to do their academic work.
In my experience, I have had students who have called me and told me that they needed to drop a class because they were being evicted, and they had a young child, and that their first concern was going to be to try to find new housing, and they certainly didn't have the time or the wherewithal to be able to focus on their academic studies. Now, I would imagine that that student is definitely food insecure, because a student who's lacking housing is also probably lacking food. And that is why I think a broader awareness of food insecurity, a recognition of it, that it exists on this campus and that there are resources to support you, might make it easier for students to talk about it.
My hope is that we can find a way to get this produce and maybe expand a little bit more so we can get this project running longer and a little bit bigger to fully bring a really big harvest of fresh organic produce to the COD community that needs it.